You think you're trading the market, but the truth is, the market doesn't exist the way you think it does. There is no invisible entity called the market deciding prices go up or down because it likes you or hates you. What you're really facing is other people. People who are afraid, people who are greedy, people who want to win fast, and most importantly, people who understand you better than you understand yourself. Every time you press buy, every time you place a stop loss, every time you can't take the pain and exit early, you think those are personal decisions. But in reality, they are moves in a game. And in this game, there is no neutral move. You're not just playing to win, you're giving away information. Information about where you're afraid, how much pain you can tolerate, and how you'll react when things go against you. Most traders don't lose because they're stupid. They lose because they're playing a game without knowing the rules. They think this is about technical analysis, chart patterns, indicators. But beneath the surface, this is game theory, a place where your rational move becomes raw material for someone else's strategy. And when you realize this too late, you understand something uncomfortable. You weren't hunted by the market. You were hunted by people who know how you think. The market is a game, not a math problem. Most traders approach the market as if they're solving an equation. If A happens, then B will follow. If the pattern is right, price will run. If there's enough data, there must be an answer. It sounds logical, but there's a deadly flaw in that thinking. The market is not a math problem. A math problem has one key property. The answer doesn't change just because you solved it. Whether you know the result or not, 2 + 2 is still 4. The market is different. The moment you think you've figured it out, it starts to change. Because the market doesn't react to data. The market reacts to behavior. The behavior of the crowd, retail traders, large institutions, automated systems, and most importantly, your own behavior. This is where game theory enters the picture. In a game, there is no fixed strategy. There is no move that is permanently right. Your opponents adapt to you. The more people use the same strategy, the more predictable that strategy becomes. Think about this. If 90% of traders buy breakouts, place stops right below the low, take profits at the same ratios, then the real question isn't, is this strategy correct? It's, who benefits when 90% of players do the same thing? In this game, you're not trading against the chart. You're trading against people who need liquidity, people who know where the crowd will panic, systems designed to exploit human reflexes. So the next time you say, this time, price has to go up, stop and ask a different question. If I'm right, who's paying me? If you don't know who the loser is, there's a very good chance it's you. Your rational move is the trap. In trading, there are moves considered textbook correct. Buy on a clean breakout, sell when a pattern fails, place tight stop losses to manage risk. It sounds perfect. It sounds professional. It sounds very intelligent. And that's exactly why. It's extremely dangerous. Because in game theory, the best move on paper is not always the optimal move in reality. Why? Because you're not playing alone. Imagine a chessboard. If you always make moves that are predictable, logical, identical to the crowd, your opponent doesn't need to guess what you're thinking. They know exactly what you'll do next. Trading is the same. When you see a setup that looks too perfect, clean structure, familiar pattern, full confirmation, you're not the only one seeing it. You're the 10,000th person seeing it. And when 10,000 people are focused on the same level, where are their stop losses? When will they exit? How will they panic? The answer? They're all in the same place. At that point, it's no longer technical analysis. It's a liquidity map. And liquidity is fuel for large players, a reward for those who understand the game. So when you place your stop loss in the right spot, what are you really doing? You're putting up a sign. If price comes here, I will be forced to sell. In game theory, that's not defense. That's revealing your strategy. And when you think, it's fine, it's just a stop, the market thinks, good, someone here is forced to act. This is the biggest paradox of retail traders. They do everything right, yet they stand on the wrong side of the game. Not because they're bad, but because they're too predictable. And the worst part is, the more you trade, the faster you give yourself away. More action is not power. There's a very common belief in trading. You want to make money, you have to be active. You want to get good, you need to take more trades. If you're not trading, you're missing opportunities. It sounds a lot like diligence. But in game theory, that mindset is a sign of a weaker player. In any competitive game, the player who is forced to act the most is usually the one without the advantage. Why? Because every action is a disclosure of information, a reflexive response, another chance to be read. Think about it simply. One person sits still and observes. The other keeps moving, reacting non-stop. Who's really controlling the game? In trading, overtrading isn't just losing fees, losing capital, losing discipline. Overtrading is constantly broadcasting your strategy to the market. Every trade you take reveals. You're afraid of missing out. You need to be right. You can't tolerate standing aside. And the market loves traders like that, because the ones who trade non-stop don't wait, don't hold psychological position, and are forced to act. In game theory, this is called being dragged into your opponent's tempo. You think you're being proactive, but in reality, you're just reacting. Reacting to candlesticks, news, random movement. Strong players are different. They don't need to play every round. They understand that not acting is also a move, and sometimes it's the strongest move of all. Here's the hard truth. In trading, the biggest winners are usually the ones who make the fewest decisions. Don't predict. Identify who's trapped. Retail traders keep asking the same question. Is price going up or down next? It sounds reasonable, but in this game, it's the wrong question. Price doesn't move because it wants to go somewhere. Price moves because someone is forced to buy, someone is forced to sell, someone has no other choice. In game theory, these are the players who've lost control. Think about the traders who are trapped, buying breakouts too early, selling the bottom out of fear, holding losing positions until they can't take it anymore. They're no longer thinking strategically, they just want the pain to stop, and that's exactly when the game begins. Strong players don't hunt for perfect entries. They hunt for fear, pressure, the moment someone else is forced to act. However, when a price level is tested over and over, ask yourself, who's stuck in the wrong position here? Who's waiting for a miracle? Who will panic first? This is why. Stop runs are usually fast. Explosive moves come without warning, and price often moves against the crowd. Not because the market is cruel, but because the game needs losers. When you stand on the side of those being forced to act, you're paying into the game. When you stand on the side of those who wait, you collect the fee. The truth is, you don't need to be right about direction. You need to be on the right side. The paradox of patience. The least active player is the most dangerous. In most fields, the person who acts fast is seen as strong. But in trading, the most dangerous player is the one who isn't in a hurry. Patience in trading is not waiting for a perfect signal or trying to suppress emotions. Patience is not letting the market know what you want. In game theory, the first player to reveal intent is always at a disadvantage. The player who shows nothing, can't be led, can't be provoked, can't be forced to react. When you don't enter a trade, you don't reveal your stop. You don't reveal your fear. You don't reveal your expectations. You become an unpredictable variable. And what happens when your opponent can't read you? They start making mistakes. They enter too early, hold too long, and act emotionally. The market hates silence, because when there's no reaction, it has to push price further to find someone willing to act. And that's when liquidity reveals itself, trapped players show their hand, real movement begins. This is the sniper's moment of waiting, not to fire many shots, but to fire once, at the right moment, on the right target, when someone else is forced. One correct move, at the right time, against the right pressure, can erase 10 bad trades, 20 moments of hesitation, an entire losing streak. Are you playing the game, or are you the piece? By now, you've probably noticed something uncomfortable. In trading, not everyone is meant to win. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they don't work hard, but because this game requires losers. And the final question isn't, is my strategy good? It's, which side of the game does my strategy put me on? If you're always reacting, always needing to be in a trade, always afraid of missing out, always needing the market's confirmation, then there's a good chance you're not playing the game, you're being played. But the moment you realize that every trade is information, every stop is a confession, every reflex is a weakness, your position starts to change. You stop asking, where is price going? And start asking, who's trapped? Who's being forced to act? Who's paying for this move? And at that point, you're no longer trying to beat the market. You're simply trying not to lose the same way the crowd does. Remember this. If you don't understand the rules of the game, there's a good chance you are the prize. It's not the smartest trader who wins. It's the trader who is least controllable, least reactive, most patient. When you don't rush to make a move, you force others to reveal theirs.